The news arrived via text message. 5 words that shattered any plan of spending Christmas hiding in her apartment in Seattle. Miranda's coming home this year, too. Emma dropped her phone onto the kitchen counter. Her hands were shaking. Not from cold, though December in the Pacific Northwest was always freezing. They trembled because it had been 11 years since she'd seen Miranda Hayes. 11 years since that night when everything fell apart, since she fled Lake Tahoe as if the entire town was on fire. Outside, the rain hammered against her studio apartment window. Inside, the silence was so thick she could hear it breathing. Emma closed her eyes, but that made it worse. Because when she closed her eyes, she could still see Miranda. Always Miranda. Her face at 17, lit by the bonfire on Tahoe's shore. Her lips parted, inches from Emma's. And then, nothing. Emma had pulled back, had stammered an excuse. And 3 days later, she was on a Greyhound bus to Seattle, swearing she'd never return. But Grandma Rose had died in October, and with her went any excuse not to go back. The drive from Seattle to Lake Tahoe took about 12 hours. Emma turned it into 15, stopping at every gas station possible, buying coffees she didn't drink, checking her phone every 5 minutes as if hoping the universe would give her an emergency exit. It didn't. Lake Tahoe appeared before her like a perfect postcard. Pine-lined streets winding between mountain lodges, the massive lake stretching like a mirror under the midday sun. The Sierra Nevada mountains rising behind it, their peaks dusted with early snow. It was exactly as she remembered. Too exactly. Her family's house was on Lakeshore Drive, a 2-story cabin with cedar siding, a stone chimney, and a front yard where Grandma Rose had cultivated wildflowers for 50 years. Now the flowers looked neglected, wild, spreading across the yard like they wanted to escape. Emma parked her old Honda Civic in front. She took 3 deep breaths. 4. 5. "You made it, sweetie." Her mother's voice startled her. Patricia Thompson stood on the porch, wiping her hands on an embroidered apron. She had more gray hair than Emma remembered, more lines around her eyes. But her smile was the same. Warm, huge, incapable of hiding anything. "Mom." Emma got out of the car, leaving her suitcase in the back seat. The hug was long, tight, and smelled like cinnamon and fresh brewed coffee. "I thought you wouldn't come," Patricia whispered against her hair. "After what happened with Grandma, I promised I'd come for Christmas." Emma pulled back, wiping her eyes quickly. "And here I am." "Well, you're just in time. Everyone's inside. Your dad's making the turkey stuffing. Your cousins arrived yesterday and..." Patricia paused, biting her lip. Emma's stomach dropped. "And?" "Miranda got here an hour ago." The world tilted slightly to the left. "She's here? Now?" "Yes, honey. Her mom insisted she come. You know how Sharon is. She doesn't take no for an answer." Patricia took her daughter's hand. "I know you too. That things ended weird between you. But it's been years, Emma. You're adults now. Adults." As if that changed anything. As if time could erase the way Emma's heart raced every time she heard that name. "It's fine, Mom," she lied. "Everything's fine." Inside, the house was organized chaos of American Christmas. The artificial tree in the corner of the living room, decorated with red and gold ornaments and a crooked star on top. The nativity scene displayed on a side table, with ceramic figurines decades old. The smell of mulled wine simmering in the kitchen, mixing with the scent of gingerbread someone had brought. Emma recognized voices. Her father, David, arguing with his brother about last night's football game. Her cousins, Sophie and Hannah, laughing somewhere upstairs. And another voice, one she hadn't heard in 11 years but would recognize anywhere in the world. Miranda. No, seriously, Aunt Sharon. You don't need to make anything special for me. I'll eat whatever. Emma froze in the hallway. Her mother gave her a little push from behind. Go say hello. Don't be rude. The dining room was at the end of the corridor. Emma walked like she was heading to her execution. Each step was a conscious effort. Left foot, right foot. Breathe. Don't throw up. And then she saw her. Miranda Hayes was facing away, leaning over the dining table, checking something on her phone. She wore dark jeans and a burgundy turtleneck sweater. Her hair, which used to reach her waist, was now cut in a shoulder-length bob with caramel highlights that shone under the ceiling light. She was taller than Emma remembered. More... everything. Miranda. Her voice came out as a whisper. Miranda turned around, and the world stopped. Miranda's eyes were still the same honey color that Emma had dreamed about for 11 years. But now there was something different in them. A hardness that didn't exist before. Armor. Emma, Miranda said, and her voice was deeper, more controlled. What a surprise. She didn't sound surprised. She sounded like someone who'd just run into a casual acquaintance at the grocery store. Polite, distant, perfectly indifferent. Emma felt something in her chest crack. I didn't know you'd be coming. I didn't know you would either. Miranda tucked her phone in her back pocket. I guess we both wanted to honor Grandma Rose's memory. Grandma Rose. Formal. As if Emma's grandmother hadn't been practically Miranda's second mother throughout their entire childhood. Yes, Emma managed to say. I guess so. The silence that followed was so uncomfortable it physically hurt. It was Patricia who broke it, entering the dining room with a tray of sugar cookies. How great that you've already seen each other, she exclaimed with that forced cheerfulness mothers use when they sense tension. Look, I have news. As you know, the house is full this year. Sophie and Hannah are in the guest room. Your dad and I in our bedroom. Your Uncle Mark in the study. So... She paused dramatically. We decided you two will share the back bedroom. The one from when you were kids. Remember? Emma felt the floor disappear beneath her feet. What? The words came out as a croak. Share a room? Miranda repeated, and for the first time her mask cracked slightly. Emma saw panic in her eyes. Real panic. Yes, girls, it has 2 twin beds just like before. It'll be like old times. Patricia smiled, completely oblivious to the disaster she'd just unleashed. Won't that be nice? Nice. That word didn't begin to describe what this was. This was torture, a cruel joke from the universe, a nightmare with Christmas decorations. Mom, I can sleep on the couch, Emma tried. Absolutely not. You're my daughter. You're not sleeping on a couch during the holidays. I can go to a hotel, Miranda offered quickly. A hotel? At Christmas? Miranda Hayes, I've known you since you were 5 years old. This is your home as much as Emma's. Patricia set the tray on the table with determination. It's decided. Besides, it's only a few days, from the 24th to the 28th. 4 nights. You'll survive. 4 nights. Sharing a room. With Miranda. With the girl she'd almost kissed 11 years ago. With the girl she'd secretly loved throughout her entire adolescence. With the girl she'd run from because the weight of that unconfessed love threatened to crush her. Emma looked at Miranda. Miranda looked at her. And in that moment, they both knew this Christmas was going to be hell. Subscribe now. YouTube prioritizes subscribers, and those who aren't subscribed miss future stories. The back bedroom was exactly as Emma remembered it, only smaller. Or maybe she had grown. The walls were still painted pale yellow, with the same glow-in-the-dark star stickers they'd put up when they were 12. 2 twin beds separated by a nightstand, a dark wood wardrobe that creaked when opened, a window overlooking the backyard, where Grandma Rose's lemon tree still bore fruit. Miranda entered first, dragging a professional black suitcase that probably cost more than Emma's car. She set it next to the bed on the right side, the same side she'd occupied when they were 15, and stayed up until 3 in the morning talking about everything and nothing. "I'll take this one," Miranda said without looking at her. "That's fine," Emma responded, feeling like every word was a minefield. Emma placed her old travel backpack next to the left bed. The silence in the room was so dense she could feel it pressing against her skin. Outside, she heard her cousin's laughter, Christmas music playing in the living room, the clatter of pots in the kitchen. But in here, it was like being in a bubble of pure awkwardness. "Are you still drawing?" Miranda asked suddenly, still facing away, unpacking her suitcase with mechanical movements. The question caught Emma off guard. "Yeah, I work as a freelance illustrator, book covers mainly." She paused. "Are you still doing architecture?" "Yes, I have my own firm in Portland, Hayes Architecture." There was pride in her voice, but also something else. Something tired. "That's amazing. You always said you wanted to have your own firm." Miranda finally turned around. Their eyes met for the second time that day, and this time Emma could see beyond the armor. She saw something that looked dangerously like pain. "Yeah, well, people change, people grow up, people move on." The last words were like a silent slap. Emma swallowed hard. "Miranda, No," Miranda interrupted, raising a hand. "Let's not do this, please. It's only 4 days. We can be polite and civil. We can pretend we're 2 strangers who barely know each other, and after Christmas, we each go back to our lives. Deal?" Each word was a stab, but Emma nodded. "Deal. Good." Miranda returned to her suitcase, pulling out a makeup case and placing it on the nightstand. "I'm going to take a shower before dinner. If you need the bathroom, let me know." And just like that, without another word, Miranda took her toiletry bag and left the room, closing the door with a soft but definitive click. Emma let herself fall onto her bed. The old sheets smelled like lavender and detergent, her mother's meticulous care. She looked at the ceiling, at the star stickers that barely glowed anymore. She remembered the night they'd put them up, Miranda standing on a chair, Emma passing her the stars one by one, both of them laughing because they had no idea what they were doing. "When we're old," Miranda had said that night, 13 years old with her whole life ahead of her, "we're going to live together, in a house by the lake, and we'll have an art studio on the 2nd floor." "And what am I supposed to do in your architect's house?" Emma had asked. "You'll be my personal illustrator. You'll draw all my projects. We'll be a team." Emma had smiled. Because back then, the idea of a future with Miranda was the most natural thing in the world. She didn't know that 4 years later she'd be in love with her. She didn't know she'd have to choose between confessing it or destroying their friendship. She didn't know that in the end, she'd choose to run. The sound of running water in the shared bathroom pulled her from her thoughts. She imagined Miranda taking off her sweater, unbuttoning her jeans, letting the hot water run over her skin. Emma squeezed her eyes shut. 4 days, she told herself. Just 4 days. But deep down, she knew that 4 days with Miranda would be both heaven and hell. Christmas Eve dinner was a spectacle of American traditions in full glory. The dining table could barely hold the weight of the food. Roasted turkey with sage stuffing, cranberry sauce, garlic mashed potatoes with gravy, green bean casserole topped with crispy onions, sweet potato casserole with marshmallows, Parker House rolls still warm from the oven, and the honey-glazed ham that Uncle Mark had insisted on preparing Southern style, though no one in the family was from the South. 16 people squeezed around the table, everyone talking at once, passing plates and glasses of wine, arguing about whether this year's Hallmark Christmas movies were better than last year's, planning midnight mass that no one really wanted to attend, but everyone would go to anyway out of tradition. Emma was seated between her cousin Sophie and her father. Miranda was across the table, between her mother Sharon and Uncle Mark. Far enough not to have to talk. Close enough for Emma to be painfully aware of every movement she made. "So, Miranda," said Aunt Carol, Patricia's older sister, known for her ability to ask the most uncomfortable questions possible. "Still not married?" Miranda's fork stopped halfway to her mouth. "No, Aunt Carol. Still single." "Not even a boyfriend? A pretty girl like you." "Mom," Sophie interrupted with an eye roll, "it's 2024. Not everyone needs to be married." "I'm just saying that at her age I already had 2 kids." "Different times, Aunt Carol," Miranda interjected with a tight smile. "I'm focused on my career." "Careers won't take care of you when you're old." Emma saw Miranda's jaw tighten. Without thinking, she spoke. "Miranda has her own architecture firm in Portland. She's very successful." The words came out before she could stop them. All eyes turned to her. "I read it in an article about young American female architects." Miranda looked at her. For the first time all day, her expression softened. Just a little. Just enough for Emma to see a glimpse of the girl she used to know. "Thank you," Miranda mouthed silently. Emma nodded slightly and returned her attention to the turkey on her plate, feeling her heart beating too fast. "Well, I just hope you both find someone special soon," Aunt Carol continued, oblivious to everything. "Family is the most important thing." Miranda's mother, Sharon, spoke up then. "Miranda had a girlfriend 2 years ago. A very nice girl. A lawyer, I think. What was her name? Andrea?" The silence that followed was deafening. Emma felt something in her chest twist. Girlfriend? Miranda had had a girlfriend? "Mom," Miranda said with a tense voice, "this isn't the time." "Why not? It's just conversation." "Because we broke up 2 years ago and I don't want to talk about it at Christmas dinner." "I'm just saying she was a good girl." "I don't understand why—" "Mom!" Miranda set her fork on her plate with a sharp clack. "Can we not do this right now?" The rest of the table had fallen into awkward silence. Emma stared at her plate, her mind spinning in 1,000 directions. Miranda had had a girlfriend. Miranda dated women. Miranda was... "I'm sorry," Miranda said, getting up from the table. "I need some air." She walked out to the backyard before anyone could stop her. Sharon sighed. "That girl is so sensitive. I don't know why she gets upset when I'm just trying to..." "Sharon," Patricia said firmly. "Maybe Miranda doesn't want to discuss her love life in front of the whole family. I just want her to be happy." "Then let her be happy in her own way." Emma didn't hear the rest of the conversation. Her mind was stuck on a single phrase. Miranda had a girlfriend. 10 minutes later, when everyone had returned to eating and talking, Emma excused herself and went outside. Miranda was sitting on the old porch swing Grandpa had built decades ago, gently rocking back and forth. The moonlight illuminated her profile, and Emma could see her eyes were closed, her expression somewhere between peaceful and pained. "Can I?" Emma asked softly, pointing to the space next to her on the swing. Miranda opened her eyes. For a moment, Emma thought she'd say no. But finally she nodded. Emma sat down, leaving a respectful space between them. The swing creaked under their combined weight, but held steady. For a long while neither spoke. Just the sound of crickets chirping and Christmas music filtering faintly from the house. "I'm sorry," Emma said finally. About your mom. It's not your fault. Miranda sighed, her breath visible in the cold night air. My mom. She gets excited. She wants me to be happy, but her version of happiness includes me having a stable, perfect partner. She doesn't understand that sometimes things don't work that way. What happened? Emma asked before she could stop herself. With Andrea, I mean, if you don't mind me asking. Miranda looked at her sideways, as if evaluating whether to answer. Why would you want to know that? I don't know. Emma shrugged, feeling stupid. Curiosity, I guess. Miranda turned her gaze to the yard, to the Christmas lights Patricia had strung on the lemon tree, their soft glow reflecting off the light dusting of snow. Andrea was amazing, smart, funny, ambitious. We were together for a year and a half. She paused, her voice getting quieter. But in the end, it didn't work out. Why not? Because Miranda stopped, as if carefully choosing her words. Because I wasn't completely there. Emotionally. She noticed, and she was right to break up with me. You weren't completely there? Miranda turned to look at her directly. There was something in her eyes that Emma couldn't decipher. Something old and painful and deeply buried. Some people leave marks, Emma. Marks that don't fade no matter how much time passes. Her voice was barely above a whisper. And those marks keep you from fully giving yourself to someone else. Emma's heart was beating so hard she was sure Miranda could hear it. Who? She dared to ask. Who left those marks on you? Miranda looked at her for a long moment. The moonlight caught the gold in her eyes, making them almost luminous. And then, to Emma's surprise, she smiled. But it wasn't a happy smile. It was sad, resigned, loaded with years of unspoken things. It doesn't matter, she said finally, standing up from the swing. That person left my life a long time ago. She walked toward the house before Emma could respond, leaving Emma sitting there alone on the swing, feeling like she'd been on the verge of discovering something crucial, something that could change everything. When Emma returned to the house 20 minutes later, her fingers numb from the cold. Dinner was over and everyone was in the living room. Some were opening early gifts, others drinking spiked hot cocoa. Uncle Mark was arguing with David about football again, and the cousins were setting up a board game. Miranda was sitting on the couch, laughing at something Sophie had said, her mask perfectly in place again, as if the conversation on the swing had never happened. Emma joined the celebration, accepting a mug of hot cocoa from her mother, but her mind was elsewhere. On a swing under the moonlight, on words almost spoken, on marks that don't fade, and on a terrible, wonderful suspicion that was beginning to form in her mind. Later that night, after midnight mass, which no one paid attention to but everyone attended, after the hugs and Merry Christmas wishes and the last cups of cocoa, after Aunt Carol had finally stopped asking invasive questions, Emma and Miranda found themselves alone again in the back bedroom. Emma changed in the bathroom, putting on old flannel pajama pants and a worn college t-shirt. When she returned, Miranda was already in her bed, facing the wall, the glow of her phone illuminating her face in the darkness. Emma got under the covers of her own bed. The room was dark, except for Miranda's phone light and the faint glow of the star stickers on the ceiling, barely visible now after all these years. "Good night," Emma murmured. "Good night," Miranda responded without turning around, her voice flat and controlled. Silence settled between them. But it wasn't peaceful silence. It was silence full of unspoken things, unanswered questions, 11 years of distance that suddenly seemed like both an eternity and no time at all. Emma closed her eyes, trying to sleep. But every time she did, her mind went back to the conversation on the swing. to Miranda's words. Some people leave marks. Had Emma been one of those people? The reason Miranda couldn't give herself fully to Andrea? No, impossible. Miranda had never. They had never. Except they almost did. That night by the bonfire. When Miranda had leaned toward her, eyes closed, lips slightly parted. And Emma had pulled back, terrified of what it meant, of what she felt, of destroying the most important friendship she'd ever had. Emma? Miranda's voice broke the silence, startling her. Yes? A long pause. Emma could hear Miranda breathing, could sense her tension even across the space between their beds. Why did you leave? 11 years ago. After that night. Why did you go to Seattle without even saying goodbye? Emma felt her throat close up. Of all the questions Miranda could ask, this was the one she'd been dreading most. I had a scholarship to study illustration. It was a good opportunity. That's what you told everyone, Miranda said, and her voice sounded strangely calm. Too calm. But you didn't convince me. You never convinced me. Miranda, you don't have to tell me. Miranda interrupted, her voice still eerily controlled. It's been 11 years. It doesn't matter anymore. I just wanted you to know that I noticed. I noticed that you ran away. Emma didn't know what to say, because Miranda was right. She had run, like a complete coward. I'm sorry, she finally whispered into the darkness. Me too. And that was it. No more words. Miranda turned off her phone, and the room was plunged into complete darkness, the star stickers providing only the faintest glow. Emma lay awake for hours, listening to Miranda's breathing in the bed beside her. Soft, steady, but too controlled to be someone actually sleeping. She could tell by the occasional shift, the subtle change in rhythm, that Miranda was awake too. Maybe neither of them would sleep that night. Maybe these 4 nights were going to be longer than either had imagined. And for the first time in 11 years, Emma wondered if running away had been the biggest mistake of her life. Christmas morning arrived with pale sunlight filtering through the bedroom window and the smell of coffee and cinnamon rolls drifting up from the kitchen. Emma woke slowly, disoriented for a moment about where she was. The events of yesterday came flooding back. The awkward reunion, the shared bedroom, the revelation about Andrea, the conversation on the swing, the weighted silence of the night. She turned her head to look at Miranda's bed. Empty. Covers pulled up neatly, hospital corners perfect, as if Miranda had never been there at all. Emma sat up, rubbing her eyes. Her phone showed 8:47 a.m. Downstairs, she could hear the chaos of Christmas morning. Kids. When had there been kids? Oh right, Uncle Mark's grandchildren. Wrapping paper being torn, excited squeals, her father's deep laugh. She got dressed quickly, jeans and a soft gray sweater, and headed downstairs. The living room was pure Christmas chaos. Wrapping paper everywhere, gifts scattered across every surface, her little second cousins playing with new toys, while the adults sat around drinking coffee and eating Patricia's famous cinnamon rolls. Miranda was there, sitting on the floor near the tree, helping 5-year-old Tyler open a complicated Lego set. She wore dark jeans and a cream-colored cable knit sweater, her hair pulled back in a loose bun. She looked up when Emma entered, their eyes meeting for just a second before Miranda looked away. Emma! Finally! Patricia appeared with a plate of cinnamon rolls. I thought you were going to sleep through Christmas entirely. Sorry, Mom. Didn't sleep well. Well, eat something, then come help with gifts. We're doing Secret Santa in an hour. Emma took the plate and found a seat on the couch next to Sophie, who gave her a knowing look. Rough night? Sophie asked quietly. You have no idea. Want to talk about it? Emma glanced at Miranda, who was now fully focused on helping Tyler, her face showing none of the tension from last night. Not really. Fair enough. Sophie bit into her own cinnamon roll. But just so you know, Hannah and I have a bet going. A bet? On whether you two figure your shit out before New Year's. Sophie grinned. I said yes. Hannah said no. There's nothing to figure out. Emma, come on. I'm not blind. Neither is anyone else in this family. Before Emma could respond, Patricia clapped her hands. Okay, everyone. Secret Santa time. Grab your gifts. The next hour was a blur of gift exchanges, laughter, and the organized chaos that came with a large family gathering. Emma had drawn Uncle Mark's name and gotten him a book on vintage cars, which he seemed genuinely excited about. She received a beautiful set of watercolor pencils from Hannah, who winked when Emma thanked her. For your illustrations, Hannah said. Figured you could use professional supplies. When the gift exchange was over and the chaos had settled slightly, Miranda stood up, brushing wrapping paper off her jeans. I'm going for a walk, she announced to no one in particular. Need some air. Want company? The words were out of Emma's mouth before she could stop them. Miranda hesitated, conflict clear on her face. Then, to Emma's surprise, she nodded. Sure. Why not? They bundled up in coats and scarves. The morning was crisp and cold, the temperature hovering just above freezing. The snow from yesterday had mostly melted, leaving the streets damp and the air sharp with that particular clarity that comes after a storm. They walked in silence for the first few blocks, their breath forming clouds in the cold air. Lake Tahoe stretched out before them, impossibly blue against the snow-capped mountains, a few early morning kayakers already out on the water despite the cold. I used to love Christmas morning here, Miranda said suddenly. Remember when we were kids? We'd wake up at like 5 a.m. and bug our parents until they let us open presents. Emma smiled at the memory. And then we'd spend all day playing with our new stuff. One year you got that massive Lego castle. And you got that art set with like 100 different colored pencils. We spent the whole afternoon, you drawing the castle, me building it. We made a good team. Yeah, Miranda said quietly. We did. They walked further, ending up on the lakeside path that wound along the shore. A few other people were out. Joggers, dog walkers, other families taking Christmas morning strolls. Can I ask you something? Emma said after a while. Miranda tensed slightly but nodded. Sure. Last night, what you said about marks that don't fade, about not being able to give yourself fully to someone else. Emma took a breath. Did I have anything to do with that? Miranda stopped walking. She turned to face the lake, her hands shoved deep in her coat pockets. For a long moment, she didn't answer, just stared out at the water, at the mountains beyond, at the vast expanse of blue and white and green. You want the truth? Miranda finally asked. Yes. The truth is that you've been in my head for 11 years, Emma. The truth is that every person I dated, I compared to you. Every relationship I had, I sabotaged because they weren't you. She laughed, but it was hollow. Andrea figured it out about 6 months in. She asked me if I was in love with someone else. I said no. I lied. Emma felt like she couldn't breathe. Miranda, the night we almost kissed, Miranda continued, still not looking at her. I'd been working up the courage for months. I was 17 and terrified and completely, utterly in love with my best friend. And when you pulled away, when you left 3 days later without even saying goodbye, she finally turned to face Emma, and there were tears in her eyes. It broke something in me, Emma. Something I've never quite been able to fix. I didn't know, Emma whispered, her own eyes burning. I swear I didn't know you felt that way. Didn't you? Miranda's voice was sharp now, accusatory. Because I remember the way you looked at me. I remember how you'd find excuses to touch my hand, to sit close to me, to spend every possible moment together. I remember thinking maybe, just maybe, you felt it too. And then you ran. I was scared. So was I. But I was willing to risk it. I was willing to risk our friendship for the chance that maybe, just maybe, we could be something more. Miranda's voice cracked. But you didn't even give me that chance. You just disappeared. They stood there on the lakeside path, facing each other, 11 years of hurt and confusion and longing finally spilling out between them. I'm sorry, Emma said, tears streaming down her face now. Miranda, I'm so sorry. I was a coward. I was terrified of losing you, and I thought if I stayed, if I let you kiss me, if I admitted how I felt, I thought it would ruin everything. So instead you just ran away and ruined it anyway. Yes, I did, and I've regretted it every single day for 11 years. Miranda wiped her eyes roughly. Why? Why did you regret it if you were so scared? Because I was in love with you too. The words burst out of Emma like they'd been held back by a dam that had finally broken. I was 17 and confused and terrified because I'd never felt that way about anyone before, and I didn't know what to do with it. You were my best friend and I was in love with you, and it scared the hell out of me. Miranda stared at her, eyes wide. You... what? I loved you. I loved you then, and I... Emma stopped, realizing what she'd been about to say. I spent 11 years trying to convince myself it was just teenage confusion. Just a phase. But it wasn't. It was real, and I ran from it like a coward. They stood there in the cold morning air, both crying now, both breathing hard like they'd run a marathon. I don't know what to do with this, Miranda said finally. I don't know how to process this information after 11 years. I know. I don't either. I'm angry at you. I know. But I'm also... Miranda shook her head. I don't even know what I am right now. We don't have to figure it out right now, Emma said. We still have 3 more days. We can take it slow, talk, figure out what this means. Miranda looked at her for a long moment. Then she nodded slowly. Okay, we can try. She paused. But Emma, no more running. If we're going to do this, if we're going to try to figure out what we are or could be, you have to promise me you won't run again. I promise, Emma said immediately. No more running. They started walking back toward the house. A careful distance between them now, both lost in their own thoughts. For what it's worth, Miranda said as they approached the house. I dreamed about you. All these years. I dreamed about what would have happened if you'd stayed, if you'd let me kiss you that night. What happened? In your dreams? Miranda smiled, sad and wistful. We were happy. We figured it out. We built that life we talked about as kids, the house by the lake, the art studio being a team. She looked at Emma. Stupid, right? Dreaming about something that never happened. It's not stupid, Emma said softly. I had the same dreams. They went back inside, where the family was now gathered around the TV watching A Christmas Story for probably the 100th time. No one seemed to notice that both Emma and Miranda's eyes were red from crying. They spent the rest of Christmas Day in a strange limbo, hyper-aware of each other, but maintaining a careful distance. They sat on opposite ends of the couch during the movie. They helped with dinner preparations, but in different parts of the kitchen. They smiled and laughed and participated in family activities, but always with that space between them. That night, as they got ready for bed, the tension in their shared room was different than before. Not uncomfortable exactly, but charged with possibility and fear and all the things they'd finally said out loud. "Emma?" Miranda said from her bed after they'd turned off the lights. "Yeah? I'm glad we talked today." "Me too." "Good night." "Good night, Miranda." And this time, when Emma finally fell asleep, she dreamed of a bonfire by the lake, of being 17 again, of not pulling away when Miranda leaned in to kiss her. She dreamed of what could have been, and maybe, just maybe, what still could be. If this doesn't deserve a like, I don't know what does. The morning of December 26th arrived with thick fog and the sound of birds in the lemon tree. Emma woke with a sore neck from having slept badly, or rather, having slept very little. She'd spent most of the night tossing and turning, hyper-aware of every sound Miranda made, every sigh, every time she shifted between the sheets. When she finally managed to fall asleep, it was after 4 a.m, and it was only 3 hours of restless sleep filled with fragmented dreams she couldn't quite remember, but which left her with a feeling of unease in her stomach. Opening her eyes, the first thing she saw was that Miranda's bed was already empty, the covers perfectly smoothed, as if she'd never slept there. For a moment, Emma wondered if everything had been a dream, if she was really in Lake Tahoe, sharing a room with Miranda Hayes. But the smell of fresh coffee drifting up from the kitchen confirmed this was absolutely real. She got up, quickly freshened up, and went downstairs cautiously. The house was unusually quiet. The clock in the living room showed 9 a.m. In the kitchen, she found her mother making coffee, still in her bathrobe. "Good morning, sweetie," Patricia said, but her tone was cautious. She knew something was wrong. "Good morning, Mom." Emma dropped into a chair. "Where is everyone?" "Your dad and Uncle Mark went to town to buy more firewood. Your cousins are upstairs watching movies. Sharon went to the bakery. And Miranda..." Patricia paused. "Miranda went running an hour ago. In this rain." Emma felt a stab of worry. "She went running in the rain?" "Yes," said she needed air. Patricia handed her a cup of coffee. "Emma, did something happen between you two last night?" "Why do you ask?" "Because Miranda came down at 6 a.m. with red eyes, and because you have the same look." Patricia sat across from her. "I know it's not my business, but I've known you both since you were kids, and I know when something's not right." Emma took a long sip of coffee, using the time to decide what to say. "We talked," she finally admitted. About why I left 11 years ago." Patricia sighed. "It was about time. That conversation should have happened a long time ago." "Did you know?" Emma looked up, surprised. "Did you know why I left?" Her mother looked at her with that expression only mothers can have. A mixture of love, sadness, and absolute understanding. "I knew it wasn't because of the scholarship, or not just that." Patricia covered her hand with hers. "I watched you grow up, Emma. I saw you look at Miranda a certain way, the way your father looked at me when we were your age, and I saw how it terrified you." Emma felt her eyes filling with tears again. "I was 17, Mom. I didn't know what to do with what I felt, and I was scared that if I told her it would ruin everything. So you ran. So I ran. And now? What are you going to do now?" "I don't know." Emma wiped her eyes. "I think it's too late. I hurt her too much. I don't think she can forgive me. Miranda has been coming here for Christmas for 11 years, Patricia said softly. Every year, without fail. Even when her own mother didn't come, she came. She always asked about you. always. You know what I think that means? That she's a better person than me. That she never let you go. Patricia squeezed her hand. Not completely. Before Emma could respond, the front door opened. Miranda entered, completely soaked. Her running clothes stuck to her body, her hair dripped onto the wooden floor, and she was visibly shivering. "Miranda, for God's sake!" Patricia jumped up. "You're going to get sick. How long were you out there?" "I don't know. An hour, maybe more." Miranda's teeth were chattering. "I lost track of time. Go take a hot shower right now. I'm going to make you tea with honey." Miranda nodded and went upstairs, leaving a trail of water on each step. Emma followed her with her gaze, worried. "Go with her," Patricia said. "What?" "Go make sure she's okay. She's shaking too much. She needs help." "Mom, I don't think she wants—" "Emma Thompson, get up those stairs now." There was no way to argue when her mother used that tone. Emma went up slowly, her heart beating faster with each step. When she reached the bedroom, she found Miranda sitting on the edge of her bed, trying to take off her wet sneakers with hands that were shaking so badly they wouldn't respond. "Let me help you," Emma said softly. Miranda looked up, surprised. For a moment it seemed like she would refuse, but then she nodded weakly. Emma knelt in front of her and began untying her shoelaces. They were so wet it was hard to loosen them. Her fingers occasionally brushed Miranda's, and each contact sent an electric shock through her body. "Why did you go out in this rain?" Emma asked while working on the second sneaker. "I needed to think. I needed to be alone. You almost got hypothermia. It wasn't intentional. I just started running and couldn't stop." Miranda's voice broke. "I wanted to run until it stopped hurting." Emma removed the second sneaker and then the soaked socks. Miranda's feet were freezing, almost blue. "You need to warm up. Now." Emma stood and went to the closet, pulling out a large towel. "Can you stand?" Miranda tried, but her legs were shaking so much she almost fell. Emma caught her instinctively, her arms going around Miranda's waist. "It's okay, I've got you." Miranda leaned against her, and Emma could feel how much she was shaking, how cold her skin was through the wet clothes. "I'm going to help you get to the bathroom," Emma said. "Can you walk?" "I think so." She guided her slowly to the shared bathroom. She turned on the shower faucet, waiting for the water to run hot. "Can you take off your clothes?" Emma asked, trying to keep her voice neutral. "Yes," Miranda responded, but when she tried to take off her sweatshirt, her hands were shaking too much. "Let me," Emma said, and without waiting for a response, she helped her remove the wet sweatshirt. Underneath, Miranda wore a sports bra that was also soaked. Emma tried not to look, to keep her mind focused on the practical task of helping her, but it was impossible to ignore the closeness, the intimacy of this moment. "Can you handle the rest?" Emma asked, her voice sounding huskier than she intended. Miranda nodded. "Yeah, thank you." Emma left the bathroom and closed the door, leaning against it. Her heart was pounding like she'd run a marathon. She heard the sound of water falling, imagined Miranda getting under the hot stream, and had to push those thoughts from her mind. She went to the closet and pulled out dry clothes for Miranda. Soft pajama pants, a cotton t-shirt, a thick sweater. She left them on Miranda's bed, and then went down to the kitchen. Patricia had already prepared the tea. "How is she?" "Freezing, shaking, but she'll be okay." Emma took the steaming cup. "I'm going to take it to her." She went back upstairs, knocked on the bathroom door. "Miranda, I brought you tea and dry clothes. They're on your bed." "Thank you," came the response, muffled by the water. Emma left the tea on the nightstand and sat on her own bed, waiting. 10 minutes later, Miranda came out of the bathroom. Her skin was reddened from the hot water, her wet hair combed back. She looked younger like this, vulnerable, like the Miranda Emma remembered. She dressed in silence while Emma pretended to look at her phone. Then she sat on her bed and took the tea with both hands, inhaling the steam. "Thank you," she said after a long silence, "for helping me. You didn't have to." "Of course I had to." "Why?" Miranda looked at her directly. "After what we talked about last night, I expected you to avoid me." "I expected you to avoid me. I tried. That's why I went running, but it didn't work." Miranda sighed. "Nothing works when it comes to you, Emma." The air between them charged with tension again. Outside, the rain kept pounding against the windows with renewed force. "Miranda, about last night," Emma began. "I don't want to talk about it right now." "But we need to—" "No," Miranda interrupted firmly. "Not now. I'm still processing everything. And you should too. We can't resolve 11 years in one night." She was right. Of course she was right. "Okay," Emma said, "but I want you to know that I meant everything I said." Miranda looked at her for a long moment, and Emma saw so many emotions crossing her face that she couldn't identify them all. Pain, hope, anger, desire, fear. "That's what scares me most," Miranda finally admitted. "That you meant it." "Why does that scare you?" "Because if it's true, if you really felt the same thing I did all these years..." Her voice broke. "Then we wasted so much time we could have spent together." "I know." "And what good does it do to know now?" Miranda asked, and there were tears in her eyes again. "What good does it do to know that what I felt wasn't just in my head, if we lost 11 years anyway? If we're still two strangers who don't know how to be in the same room?" "We're not strangers," Emma said, getting up from her bed and crossing the small space separating them. She sat next to Miranda, close enough to feel her warmth. "Maybe we don't know how to do this. Maybe it's awkward and painful and complicated. But we're not strangers." Miranda looked at her, and her golden eyes shone with unshed tears. "Then what are we?" It was a simple question with an impossible answer. What were they? Ex-best friends? Unrequited loves? Lost opportunities? Future possibilities? "I don't know," Emma admitted honestly. "But I want to find out. If you'll let me." Miranda closed her eyes, and a tear rolled down her cheek. Emma, without thinking, raised her hand and wiped it away with her thumb. The touch was soft, intimate, and Miranda stayed completely still. "I'm so scared," Miranda whispered. "Of trusting you again? Of letting you in? Of you leaving me again?" "I won't leave you. Not this time." "How can I know that?" "You can't," Emma said, and the brutal honesty of her words hung in the air between them. "I can't give you guarantees. I can't promise I won't make mistakes or scare you again, but I can promise that this time I won't run. This time I'll stay and we'll face it together." Miranda opened her eyes, searching for something in Emma's face. Truth, maybe, or sincerity, or some sign that this time would be different. Whatever she was looking for, she seemed to find it. Because slowly, very slowly, she leaned forward until her forehead rested against Emma's. "I don't know if I can do this," Miranda whispered, her breath warm against Emma's lips. "But I want to try. God, how I want to try." "Then let's try," Emma responded, her heart beating so hard it was all she could hear. They were so close that Emma could count every eyelash, every freckle, every expression line on Miranda's face. She could feel the warmth of her body, the tremor in her breathing, the tension in every muscle. And then, just when Emma thought it would finally happen, that after 11 years they would finally close that distance, the bedroom door burst open. "Girls, come down!" Sophie shouted. "Uncle Mark brought pizza from..." "Oh." She stopped dead seeing the scene. Emma and Miranda sitting so close on the bed, their foreheads almost touching. The intimacy of the moment so obvious it was impossible to misinterpret. "Sorry," Sophie said quickly, eyes wide. "I didn't know that. I'm going to... pizza, downstairs, whenever you want." She left and closed the door so fast she almost tripped over her own feet. Emma and Miranda separated immediately, as if they'd been burned. The moment had broken, the magic evaporated like water under the sun. "That was..." Emma began. "Awkward," Miranda finished, but there was a small smile on her lips. "Very awkward. Sophie's going to tell everyone." "Probably." Miranda stood up, adjusting her sweater. "Should we go down before they come to investigate?" "I guess we should." But neither moved for a long moment. They just looked at each other, aware that something had changed. They hadn't kissed, but they'd been about to, and they both knew it. "Emma," Miranda said softly. "Yes?" "Don't regret this, whatever we're doing, please." "I won't regret it," Emma promised. "Will you?" Miranda smiled, and it was the first genuine smile Emma had seen since she arrived. "Ask me tomorrow." And with that, she left the room, leaving Emma standing there with her heart still racing and a silly smile on her face. Maybe there was still hope. Maybe it wasn't too late after all. The morning of December 27th arrived with clear skies and a sense of renewal in the air, as if yesterday's storm had cleaned more than just the sky. Emma woke with a smile on her face, a feeling of lightness in her chest that she hadn't experienced in years. The first thing she saw was Miranda, still asleep in her bed, her face relaxed and peaceful. Emma allowed herself to watch her for a moment, memorizing every detail. The way her hair spread across the pillow, the soft curve of her lips, the slight movement of her chest as she breathed. They had kissed last night. Finally. After 11 years of longing and regret, they had done it, and it had been perfect. Miranda opened her eyes slowly, as if sensing Emma's gaze. For a moment she seemed disoriented, and then her eyes focused and remembered. A slow, beautiful smile spread across her face. "Good morning," she whispered. "Good morning," Emma responded, feeling herself blush like a teenager. So it wasn't a dream? Definitely not a dream. Miranda stretched, and the movement made her t-shirt ride up slightly, revealing a strip of tanned skin. Emma looked away quickly, trying to maintain some kind of composure. "What are we doing today?" Miranda asked, sitting up in bed. "I think Mom mentioned something about going to the lake, water sports." "With the whole family?" "Probably." Miranda made a face. "Great. A whole day trying to act normal in front of everyone while all I want to do is..." "What?" Emma asked when Miranda stopped. Miranda looked at her with an intensity that made Emma's stomach flip. "Kiss you again." Emma's cheeks burned. "Miranda..." "I know. Family, public. We have to be discreet." Miranda sighed dramatically. "But that doesn't mean I won't be thinking about it all day." "Me too." They looked at each other for a long moment, the sexual tension almost visible in the air between them. And then, simultaneously, they burst out laughing. "We're pathetic," Emma said. "Completely," Miranda agreed. but at least we're pathetic together. Lake Tahoe was spectacular under the morning sun. The water shone like liquid glass, reflecting the cloudless blue sky and the green mountains surrounding it. Small sailboats dotted the surface, and in the distance, someone was practicing wakeboarding, jumping over waves created by a speedboat. The Thompson family had rented space at one of the lakeside clubs. There were kayaks, paddleboards, life jackets, and a boat that Uncle Mark had convinced the club owner to lend them for a special friend price. "Everyone in the water," David announced enthusiastically. "We're doing a kayak tournament." There was a chorus of complaints and laughter. Sophie and Hannah were already in swimsuits, ready to jump in the lake. Patricia had stayed on shore with Aunt Carol, preferring to watch and take photos. Miranda came out of the changing room wearing a navy blue bikini that left Emma completely speechless. "You coming? Or are you going to stand there staring all morning?" Miranda asked with a mischievous smile. Emma forced herself to close her mouth. "Coming. Definitely coming." She quickly changed into her own black one-piece swimsuit, conservative but flattering, and followed Miranda to the kayaks. The water was cold but refreshing, perfect for a day that promised to heat up. "Want to paddle with me?" Miranda asked, pointing to a double kayak. "Sure." They climbed in carefully, finding their balance as the kayak rocked under their feet. Emma sat in front, Miranda behind, and they began paddling in sync almost immediately, as if their bodies remembered how to move together, even after so much time. "Remember when we were 15 and your dad brought us kayaking for the first time?" Miranda asked as they moved away from the dock. "How could I forget? We flipped over 3 times. Because you couldn't stop laughing. And I couldn't concentrate because every time you laughed, I laughed. And then we'd fall. We were a disaster. The best kind of disaster," Miranda said with warmth in her voice. They paddled in silence for a while, moving away from shore, seeking some privacy away from the family's eyes. When they were far enough away, Miranda stopped paddling. "Let's stop for a moment," she suggested. Emma also set down her paddle and turned to look at her. The sun illuminated Miranda's face, making her honey eyes shine like liquid gold. She had drops of water on her shoulders and chest, and Emma had to make a conscious effort to keep her gaze on her face. "This is nice," Emma said. "Yeah." Miranda was watching her with an intensity that made Emma feel warm despite the cold water. "Can I ask you something?" "Always." "What happened with your life these 11 years? I know you studied illustration, that you work freelance, but what else? Did you have relationships? Were you happy?" It was a big, loaded question. Emma considered her words carefully. "I had some relationships, nothing serious. A couple of girls in college who lasted a few months each. A guy 3 years ago who I thought might work, but..." She shrugged. "It never felt real. Not the way it should." "Why not?" Emma looked at her directly. "Because none of them were you." Miranda swallowed visibly. "Emma." "It's the truth." Emma laughed without humor. "I spent 11 years trying to forget you, dating other people, keeping busy with work, convincing myself that what I felt for you was just an adolescent phase. But it never worked. There was always something missing, and now I know what it was. It was you." "I don't know if that makes me feel better or worse," Miranda admitted. "Better because it means I wasn't the only one. Worse because it means we both wasted so much time." "Were you miserable?" Miranda considered the question. "Not all the time. I had good moments. I built my career, made new friends, traveled. But there was always this shadow." this feeling that something important was missing. And then I met Andrea, and I thought I could finally fill that void, but she couldn't, because the void was shaped like you, Emma, and no one else could fill it. The words hit Emma like waves. She felt tears stinging her eyes, but forced herself not to cry. Not here. Not now. "I'm sorry," she said for the umpteenth time. "I'm so sorry I did this to you." "Stop apologizing." Miranda reached out her hand, and Emma took it, feeling the electric shock of skin against skin. "It's over. We're here now. That's what matters." "Is it?" Emma asked. "Do you really think we can just move forward after everything?" "I don't know," Miranda admitted honestly. "But I want to try, and I think you do too." "Yes, more than anything." They stayed like that, floating in the kayak in the middle of the lake, hands intertwined, looking at each other with a mix of hope and fear and love so intense it almost hurt. "Hey, lovebirds." Sophie's voice broke the moment. She was paddling toward them in her own kayak, with a mischievous smile. "The tournament already started. You have to compete." Emma and Miranda quickly let go of each other's hands, like kids caught doing something forbidden. "We're coming," Miranda shouted. But when Sophie paddled away, Miranda looked at Emma and smiled. She definitely knows. Everyone knows, or suspects. "Does it bother you?" Emma thought about it. "No. Does it bother you?" "Not at all." Miranda picked up her paddle. "Ready to lose in this ridiculous tournament?" "Lose? Please. We were unbeatable at kayaking." That was 13 years ago. Some things never change. And she was right. They won the tournament easily, working together with a synchronicity that surprised even themselves, as if their bodies remembered how to move in perfect unison, each paddle stroke perfectly synchronized, each turn executed without need for verbal communication. "That's cheating," Sophie protested. "You two have chemistry." "What did you say?" Patricia asked from shore. "They have chemistry," Sophie repeated louder. "As a team!" Emma and Miranda exchanged glances, trying not to laugh. Yes, Emma thought, we definitely have chemistry. After kayaking, there was time to swim. Emma floated on her back in the water, looking at the cloudless blue sky, feeling more relaxed than she'd felt in years. Next to her, Miranda did the same, their hands occasionally touching under the water. "This is perfect," Emma murmured. "Yeah," Miranda agreed. "I wish it could last forever." "We have 2 more days." "I know, but after we'll figure it out," Emma said with more confidence than she felt. Somehow. Miranda turned to look at her, letting her feet touch the lake bottom. "Do you really think we can make it work? With the distance and our jobs and everything? I think if we don't try, I'll regret it for the rest of my life." Emma also stood up, facing Miranda. "And I've already wasted enough time regretting." "You're right." Miranda moved closer one step, then another, until they were so close that Emma could feel the warmth of her body even in the cold water. "So we try. We really try. We really try," Emma repeated like an oath. And there, in the middle of the lake, with their family far enough not to see but close enough to be a constant presence, Miranda kissed her quickly. It was barely a brush of lips, a second of contact, but it was enough to make Emma's heart race like a runaway horse. "Careful," Emma whispered. "Someone might see." "Let them see," Miranda responded with a bold smile Emma hadn't seen before. "I'm tired of hiding." But before Emma could respond, David's voice rang out from the boat. "Girls, come on, we're doing water skiing." The rest of the day passed in a whirlwind of activity. Water skiing, in which both Emma and Miranda fell spectacularly. More swimming, a lunch of fish tacos and coleslaw at a lakeside restaurant. And finally, as the sun began to set, a sailboat ride across the lake. Emma and Miranda sat together at the bow of the sailboat, their legs hanging over the edge, watching the water split in front of them. The wind played with their hair, and the setting sun painted everything in golds and pinks. "I could get used to this," Miranda said softly. "To what? Sailboat rides? To being with you." Miranda looked at her. "Like this, without hiding, without pretending I don't feel what I feel." Emma intertwined her fingers with Miranda's, not caring who might see. "Me too. I have a proposal," Miranda said after a moment. "I'm listening. When we go back to our lives, when I'm in Portland and you're in Seattle, what if we alternate weekends? One weekend I come see you, the next you come see me." Emma's heart leaped. "Are you serious?" "Completely. It's a 3-hour drive, totally doable, and during the week we can do video calls, messages, whatever." Miranda squeezed her hand. "I want this to work, Emma. I really do." "Me too. So much." Emma felt tears threatening to fall. "But I'm scared. What if it's not enough? What if the distance is too hard? Then we'll find a way to make it easier. Maybe eventually one of us moves, or we find a middle ground." Miranda lifted Emma's hand and kissed it softly. "But first we have to try." "Okay." Emma smiled through her tears. "Let's try." The sailboat sailed back to the dock as the sun set completely, plunging the lake into shades of blue and purple. When they disembarked, exhausted but happy, Patricia announced they'd have a special dinner that night. Pot roast, roasted vegetables, homemade biscuits, and apple pie for dessert. Dinner was exactly what Emma needed. Chaotic, noisy, full of laughter and family love. Everyone talked at once, told stories from the day, teased each other with the affection that only comes from years of living together. Emma sat next to Miranda, and this time no one said anything. It was as if the family had collectively decided to accept whatever was happening between them. "So," Uncle Mark began with that voice that always preceded an uncomfortable question, "when are you going to tell us you're girlfriends?" The silence that followed was absolute. All conversation stopped. All eyes turned to Emma and Miranda. "Mark," Patricia said warningly, "don't be nosy." "What?" "I'm just asking what everyone's thinking." Mark looked around the table. "Come on, tell me I'm not the only one who noticed. You've been acting like lovesick teenagers for 3 days." Emma felt her face burning. She looked at Miranda, who seemed to be going through a similar crisis of embarrassment. "Uncle Mark," Emma began. "It's okay," Miranda interrupted, and to Emma's surprise, she took her hand on top of the table. "Yes, we are." She looked at Emma as if seeking confirmation. Emma nodded, squeezing her hand. "We're together," Emma said, and the words felt like liberation. "It's new, very new, and we're trying to figure out how it works, but yes, we're together." There was a moment of silence, and then, "Finally," Sophie shouted. "It only took 11 years." "Sophie," her mother scolded. "What? It's true. We all knew they'd end up together eventually." "I bet it would happen this Christmas," Hannah said. "Sophie thought it would take at least another reunion." "Wait," Emma said. "Were you betting on us?" "Just a little," Sophie admitted with a mischievous smile. Patricia got up and walked around the table to hug them both. "I'm so happy for you two," she said with tears in her eyes. "You both deserve to be happy." And if you make each other happy, then you have my blessing. And mine, David added from his seat. Though I should say, Miranda, if you hurt my daughter, we'll have problems. Dad, Emma groaned. It's fair, Miranda said with a smile. And for the record, I plan to take very good care of her. Sharon, Miranda's mother, also had tears in her eyes. I always knew you two were special together. Since you were kids. I'm glad you finally figured it out too. Aunt Carol, surprisingly, was the most enthusiastic. This is wonderful. A lifelong love story, like in the movies. But better, Uncle Mark said, because it's real. The rest of dinner passed with a lighter, happier atmosphere. No more secrets to keep. No more furtive glances or hands touching under the table when they thought no one was looking. Now they could be open, honest, and the family supported them completely. When they finally retired to their room that night, they were both exhausted but elated. I can't believe we did that, Emma said, letting herself fall onto her bed. Which part? Kissing, admitting our feelings, or coming out to our entire family at Christmas dinner? All of the above. Miranda laughed and lay down on her own bed, but this time she turned toward Emma instead of facing away. Do you regret it? Nothing, Emma responded honestly. You? Nothing. Miranda smiled, though I would have preferred to have that conversation in private instead of with Uncle Mark as interrogator. Uncle Mark is special. He's nosy. That too. They looked at each other across the space between beds, and Emma felt a wave of affection so strong it almost drowned her. Come here, Emma said, extending her arm. What? Come to my bed, just to cuddle. I promise to behave. Miranda didn't need more invitation. She got up and crossed the space, slipping under the covers next to Emma. The space was tight for 2 adult people, but somehow it worked. Miranda curled against Emma's side, her head resting on her shoulder, her arm around her waist. This is nice, Miranda murmured. More than nice, Emma agreed, kissing the top of her head. It's perfect. Emma? Thank you for giving me another chance, for not giving up on us. You gave me the chance. I was just lucky enough that you still wanted to be with me after everything. I would have always wanted you, Miranda whispered. No matter how much time passed, it would always be you. Emma felt tears rolling down her cheeks, but they were happy tears this time. I love you, she said, and the words felt like breathing after being underwater too long. I've always loved you. Miranda lifted her head to look at her, her golden eyes shining with emotion. I love you too, so much, for so long. They kissed softly, a kiss full of promises and hope and love so pure, it made everything else seem insignificant. When they separated, Miranda curled back against Emma, and they stayed like that, embraced in the narrow bed, listening to the sounds of the house settling for the night. Only 2 more days, Miranda murmured against Emma's neck. I know, but we're going to make the most of them, and then we'll find a way to make it work after. Promise? Promise. And as they fell asleep in each other's arms, they both knew that no matter what challenges came, they'd face them together. Because after 11 years of being apart, they'd finally found their way back to each other. And this time, nothing could separate them. The morning of December 28th arrived too quickly. Emma woke in Miranda's arms, and the first thing she felt was panic. Not the kind of panic that comes from regret, but the panic of knowing this perfect moment, was about to end. Today was their last full day together. Tomorrow they'd each return to their lives. Miranda to Portland, Emma to Seattle, 3 hours of distance that suddenly seemed like an ocean. Miranda stirred against her, waking slowly. "Good morning," she murmured sleepily. "Good morning," Emma responded, kissing her forehead. "Sleep well. Better than I have in years." Miranda opened her eyes, and Emma saw the same sadness she felt reflected in them. "It's our last day." "I know. I don't want it to end." "Me neither." They stayed like that for a long moment, neither wanting to be the first to get up, to break the bubble of intimacy they'd created. But eventually, the sound of activity downstairs forced them to face reality. "I guess we should go down," Miranda said with a sigh. "I guess so." They separated reluctantly. Emma felt the immediate cold where Miranda's body had been, like she'd lost a part of herself. They dressed in silence, each hyper-aware of the other's movements, memorizing every detail as if they could store it for the difficult days ahead. When they went downstairs, they found the family in full preparation chaos. Patricia was in the kitchen making pancakes for breakfast. David was dragging suitcases down the stairs. Uncle Mark and Aunt Carol had already packed their car, preparing to leave after lunch. "There are the lovebirds," Sophie announced with a grin. "We thought you might not come out of the room all day." "Sophie," Patricia scolded, but she was smiling. Emma felt herself blushing, but Miranda simply took her hand and squeezed it. "What's for breakfast?" Miranda asked. "We're starving." "Pancakes, bacon, eggs, the usual." Patricia looked at them with tenderness. "Sit down and enjoy the time together. I know tomorrow you both leave." Breakfast was a strange mix of joy and melancholy. Everyone talked and laughed, but there was an underlying current of sadness. The Christmas holidays were ending. Everyone would return to their separate lives. But for Emma and Miranda, the farewell weighed more than for anyone else. "What are your plans for today?" Hannah asked. Emma and Miranda looked at each other. "We hadn't thought about it," Emma admitted. "You should go to Emerald Bay," Sharon suggested. "The sunset from there is spectacular. It would be a good way to close your reunion." There was weight in the word reunion that made it clear everyone knew this was more than that. It was a reconnection, a restart, the beginning of something that had been waiting 11 years to happen. "Good idea," Miranda said. "Want to go, Emma?" "I'd love to." They spent the morning helping the family with departure preparations. Emma folded clothes and packed gifts, while Miranda helped her mother clean the kitchen. But every time they passed each other, their eyes met, and there was so much unspoken in those glances, it almost hurt. After lunch, leftover turkey sandwiches that Patricia had prepared, Uncle Mark and Aunt Carol said their goodbyes with long hugs and promises to see each other next year. "Take care of that, love," Aunt Carol whispered to Emma as she hugged her. "It's rare. It's special. Don't let it go." "We won't," Emma promised. When the house finally quieted down, with only the immediate family remaining, Emma and Miranda escaped. They took Emma's Honda and drove toward Emerald Bay, a scenic point in the Tahoe area famous for its panoramic views of the lake and mountains. The road was steep and winding, bordered by tall pines and firs. Miranda put on music in the car stereo, soft indie songs Emma didn't recognize but immediately liked. "Who's this?" she asked. "Phoebe Bridgers. She's amazing." "I don't listen to much indie music." "Then I'll have to educate you." Miranda took her hand over the gear shift. "It's part of getting to know each other again. Learning what music we listen to, what movies we watch, what books we read." "I like that," Emma said. "Learning everything about you." "Even the boring parts?" "Especially the boring parts." They arrived at Emerald Bay just as the sun began its descent. The place was almost empty, just a couple of tourists taking photos. Emma and Miranda got out of the car and walked to the edge of the overlook. The view was, as Sharon had promised, spectacular. The bay stretched below like a giant emerald, reflecting the sky beginning to tinge with oranges and pinks. Fanette Island sat in the middle of the water like a miniature painting. The mountains rose in all directions, their snow-capped peaks glowing in the sunset light. "It's beautiful," Emma whispered. "Yeah," Miranda agreed, but she wasn't looking at the landscape. She was looking at Emma. Emma turned to her, and suddenly all the beauty of the landscape paled compared to the way Miranda was looking at her. With love, with desire, with hope and fear, and everything mixed into an expression that made Emma's heart ache with happiness. "Are you ready for this?" Miranda asked quietly. "For trying a long-distance relationship?" "I'm terrified," Emma admitted. "But yes, I'm ready." "Me too." Miranda took both her hands. "I know it won't be easy. I know there will be days when we miss each other so much it hurts. Days when we'll wonder if it's worth it. And on those days, we'll remember this." Emma gestured to the space between them. "We'll remember that we waited 11 years to be together, that we almost lost everything, and that we're not going to let it go again." Miranda smiled, and there were tears in her eyes. "How do you always know what to say?" "Because I know you. I've known you my whole life." Emma moved closer, closing the space between them. "And I'm going to spend the rest of my life getting to know you better." They kissed as the sun set behind them, painting the sky in impossible colors. It was a different kiss from the previous ones. Not urgent or desperate. It was a promise. A pact sealed with lips and intertwined hearts. When they separated, Miranda rested her head on Emma's shoulder, and they both watched the sunset in silence. "I have a confession," Miranda said after a moment. "What?" "Every year I came to Lake Tahoe for Christmas. It wasn't just for Grandma Rose. It was because I hoped you'd be there, that you'd decided to come back." Miranda laughed softly. 11 years coming with the hope of seeing you, and it finally happened. Emma felt tears rolling down her cheeks. "I almost didn't come this year. I was about to make up an excuse. Because I was so scared of seeing you. And now I'm so glad I came. Because if I hadn't, if I'd let fear win again, I would have lost this. I would have lost my chance with you." Emma kissed Miranda's head. "I can't imagine what my life would be like now if I hadn't come. It would be miserable, for both of us. Completely miserable." They stayed until the sun disappeared completely behind the mountains, and the sky darkened from purple to navy blue. The first stars began to appear, and Emma remembered the stickers on their bedroom ceiling. "Remember when we put up those stars?" she asked. "How could I forget? You said when we were old we were going to live together. Do you still want that?" Emma asked, her heart beating fast. Miranda lifted her head to look at her directly. "More than anything in the world." "Then we'll do it. Maybe not now, maybe not this year, but someday we're going to find a way to live in the same city, to have that house by the lake you dreamed of. To be a team, like we always wanted. Promise?" "Promise." They drove back to the house in comfortable silence, their hands intertwined over the console. The house was quiet when they arrived. Most of the family had already retired to their rooms, preparing for tomorrow's departures. Patricia was in the kitchen, preparing coffee for Emma's trip. "How was Emerald Bay?" she asked when she saw them enter. "Perfect," Miranda responded. "Thanks for suggesting it." Patricia smiled wisely. "Sometimes we all need a moment to remember what's important." She handed them each a cup of steaming coffee. "Take it," and enjoy your last night together. Last night. The words hung in the air like stones. They went up to their room, each carrying their cup of coffee. The room felt different now. No longer the uncomfortable space from 4 days ago. It was their refuge. The place where everything had changed. Emma sat on her bed, looking at the 2 partially packed suitcases on the floor. Tomorrow at this time, she'd be back in her apartment in Seattle. And Miranda would be in her house in Portland, separated again. "What are you thinking?" Miranda asked, sitting next to her. "That I don't want tomorrow to come." "Me neither." Miranda took her hand. "But it's going to come anyway, so we have to make the most of the time we have left." "How?" Miranda smiled. "Tell me everything. Your favorite days, your worst fears, your craziest dreams, everything I missed in 11 years. I want to know it all." And so they did. They spent the next hours talking. Emma told her about her first jobs as an illustrator, the projects that had made her cry with frustration, and the ones that had filled her with pride. She told her about her small but cozy apartment in Capitol Hill, about her rescued cat named Luna, about her college friends she still saw occasionally. Miranda talked about building her architecture firm from scratch, the sleepless nights and small victories. She talked about her trips to Europe to see historic buildings, her obsession with sustainable design, how work sometimes consumed her so much she forgot to eat. They talked about their families, their fears, the things that made them laugh and the things that made them cry. They shared childhood memories, filling in the gaps that 11 years had created. And at some point, while they were talking, the conversation became deeper, more intimate. "When did you know?" Emma asked. "When did you know you liked women?" Miranda thought for a moment. "I think I always knew, on some level. But it was with you that I confirmed it. I was 15 and we were at the pool. I saw you get out of the water and..." She laughed. It sounds so cliché, but it was like something clicked. Like my brain finally understood what my heart had known all along. "And me? Did you see me that way from 15 on?" "Earlier. But at 15 was when I stopped being able to deny it." Emma bit her lip. "I struggled against it for a long time. I liked guys too, so I convinced myself that what I felt for you was just adolescent confusion. I dated some guys in high school trying to prove it to myself. I remember." Miranda made a face. "I hated every second. Every time I saw you with one of them, I wanted to scream at you that you were with the wrong person. Why didn't you ever say anything?" "Because I was scared you'd reject me, that our friendship would end." Miranda sighed. "It's ironic, isn't it? I was so scared of losing you that I did nothing, and in the end I lost you anyway." "But you found me again," Emma said softly. "We found each other again." "Yeah, against all odds." Miranda leaned in to kiss her. "It has to mean something, don't you think?" "It means everything." They kissed slowly, savoring every moment. There was no rush. This night was theirs, and they wanted it to last as long as possible. Eventually, they lay down together in Emma's bed, embraced, listening to each other's breathing. "Emma," Miranda murmured in the darkness. "Yes?" "No matter what happens, no matter how hard it gets, I want you to know that these 4 days have been the best of my life." Emma felt tears stinging her eyes. "Mine too. And we're going to have so many more. So many that 4 days will seem like nothing in comparison." "Promise?" "Promise." They fell asleep like that, wrapped in each other's arms, their hearts beating in sync, their dreams intertwined for the first time in 11 years. And when morning came, when they had to separate, at least they'd have this night, these memories, this promise, and it would be enough to begin. The morning of December 29th arrived with a gray sky and the smell of rain in the air. Emma woke before Miranda, and for a few precious minutes, she simply watched her sleep. She memorized every detail: the curve of her cheeks, the way her eyelashes rested against her skin, the slight movement of her chest as she breathed. She knew this image would have to sustain her for the next days, weeks, until they could see each other again. Miranda opened her eyes slowly, and when she saw Emma watching her, she smiled. "Hi," she whispered. "Hi," Emma responded, kissing her softly. "It's time." "I know." Miranda stretched. "Ready to face the world?" "No, but let's do it anyway." They got up and got dressed in silence, each movement slow and deliberate, as if they could delay the inevitable. They packed their last things, folding clothes more carefully than necessary, checking 2 and 3 times that they weren't forgetting anything. When they went downstairs, the family was already gathered in the kitchen. Patricia had prepared an abundant breakfast: pancakes, scrambled eggs, bacon, fresh fruit, coffee. The kind of food a mother prepares when she wants her children to carry a piece of home with them. Sit," Patricia insisted. "You're not leaving on an empty stomach." The breakfast was lively but tinged with sadness. Everyone knew that in a few hours, the house would be empty again. Only Patricia and David would remain, keeping the memories of this Christmas until next year. "So," David said, looking at Emma and Miranda, "what's the plan?" "Plan?" Emma asked. "For your relationship, for making it work with the distance." Emma and Miranda exchanged glances. "We're going to alternate weekends," Miranda explained. "One weekend I go to Seattle, the next Emma comes to Portland. And video calls during the week," Emma added. "And messages, lots of messages." "And long-term?" Sharon asked. "Long-term." Miranda took Emma's hand on the table. "We're going to find a way to be in the same city. I don't know how yet. Maybe one of us moves. Maybe we find a middle ground. But we're going to make it work." Patricia smiled with tears in her eyes. "I'm so proud of you both. For being brave. For giving yourselves this chance." "Us too," Sharon said. "And you'll have all our support. Whatever you need." After breakfast, the moment came that neither wanted. Time to load the car. Time to say goodbye. Emma loaded her suitcase into her Honda. Miranda followed with her own suitcase, which she placed in her elegant BMW parked beside it. The family gathered on the porch for final goodbyes. There were long hugs, tears, promises to see each other soon. "Take care of her," David whispered to Miranda as he hugged her. "With my life," Miranda responded. "And you," Patricia hugged Miranda. "Make sure to eat well. I know when you work a lot you forget." "I will, Aunt Patricia. Promise." Sophie and Hannah hugged them both at the same time. "It was about time you figured it out," Hannah said. "And now you have to keep us updated," Sophie added. "We want to know everything." "Everything," Hannah repeated with emphasis. Finally, only Emma and Miranda remained, standing between their 2 cars, looking at each other. "So," Emma began. "So?" Miranda moved closer, taking her hands. "I'll see you next weekend. You're coming to Portland, right?" "Wouldn't miss it for anything." "And you'll call me when you get to Seattle, to let me know you arrived safely." "I will. And you call me when you get to Portland." "Of course." They looked at each other, and Emma saw her own fear reflected in Miranda's eyes. The fear that once separated, the magic would break, that the distance would be too much, that the real world wouldn't be as kind as this Christmas bubble. "Hey," Emma said softly, moving closer to kiss Miranda. "We're going to be okay. I promise." "How can you be so sure?" "Because I waited 11 years for you. A few days between visits are nothing compared to that." Miranda smiled through her tears. "I love you so much." "I love you too." Emma kissed her once more, deeply, not caring that their whole family was watching from the porch. "Now go, before neither of us can." They separated reluctantly. Miranda got in her car, Emma in hers. They started at the same time, and for a moment, they drove together through the streets of Lake Tahoe. But eventually they had to separate. Miranda took the highway toward Portland. Emma took the highway toward Seattle. Emma drove with tears rolling down her cheeks, but also with a smile on her face. Because yes, they were separating, but it was only temporary, only until the weekend. And this time, she knew exactly what she had to lose, and she wasn't going to let it go. Three months later, Emma walked through the streets of Capitol Hill with her portfolio under her arm, returning from a meeting with an editor who had been so impressed with her illustrations, he'd offered her a contract for an entire book series. She should be euphoric. It was the biggest job of her career. But all she could think about was telling Miranda. She pulled out her phone while walking. "I got the contract. The whole series." The response came almost instantly. "That's amazing! I knew you'd get it. Celebrate this weekend?" "Of course. Your place or mine?" "Mine. I want to cook you something special." Emma smiled. The last 3 months had been exactly as difficult as they'd feared. Video calls helped, but they weren't the same as having Miranda in her arms. The weekends together were beautiful, but painfully short. And Monday mornings, when they had to separate again, were brutal. But they'd also been beautiful. They'd learned to communicate better, to be honest about their needs, to support each other even from a distance. They'd established routines, good morning calls, random messages during the day, nightly video calls before bed, and each reunion was like Christmas all over again. Emma arrived at her apartment and opened the door. Luna, her cat, greeted her with a demanding meow. I know, Emma told her, scratching behind her ears. "You miss Miranda. Me too." Her phone rang. Video call from Miranda. Emma answered immediately. "Hi, beautiful." Miranda's face filled the screen, and Emma felt the familiar pull in her chest. 3 months, and she still made her feel like a lovesick teenager. "Hi. I wanted to see you when I told you." "Told me what?" Miranda took a deep breath. "I have news. Big news." Emma's stomach flipped. Good news? Bad news? What happened? "I was offered a project in Seattle, a sustainable apartment building in Capitol Hill. It's a year-long project, maybe more." Miranda's eyes were shining. "And I thought, if I'm going to be going back and forth so much anyway, maybe I could sublet my house in Portland and find something temporary in Seattle?" Emma felt the world stop. "Are you saying—" "I'm saying we could be in the same city, at least for a year." Miranda bit her lip. "If you want, if it's not too fast." "Too fast?" Emma laughed. "Miranda, we waited 11 years. Nothing is too fast at this point." "So it's an absolute yes?" "It's an absolute, definitive, enthusiastic yes." "There's more," Miranda said, and there was nervousness in her voice now. "I thought that maybe, instead of looking for my own place, could we look for something together?" Emma's heart was beating so hard she was sure Miranda could hear it through the phone. "Are you asking me to move in together?" "I know it's soon, It's only been 3 months, but Emma, I've been in love with you for more than half my life. And these 3 months, though difficult, have shown me that I want this. I want to wake up with you every morning. I want to cook together. I want to argue about who forgot to take out the trash. I want everything. Miranda wiped her eyes. But only if you want it too. Emma felt tears rolling down her cheeks. Miranda Hayes, nothing would make me happier than moving in with you. Really? Really, Emma laughed through her tears. We can look for something with space for a studio. You can design. I can illustrate. We can be the team we always wanted to be. Near the lake? Lake Tahoe's a bit far for daily commuting. Then near some lake, or park, or something with water. Miranda was crying now too, but smiling. I love you so much. I love you too, so much. When do we start looking? This weekend, when you come. I can't wait. Me neither. They talked for another hour, making plans, dreaming about their future together. And when they finally hung up, Emma sat on her couch, looking at the ceiling, feeling like her heart might explode with happiness. Luna jumped into her lap, purring. You're going to have to get used to Miranda full time, Emma told her. What do you think? Luna purred louder, as if approving. Emma pulled out her phone again. She had a message from her mother. How are things with Miranda? Incredible, Mom. We're moving in together. The response was almost instant. What news? Your dad and I are so happy for you. It was about time. We love you both. Emma smiled, and then, because she couldn't resist, she opened the conversation with Miranda again. Already told your parents? Yeah, my mom's crying happy tears. My dad says it was about time one of his daughters settled down. I have to remind him I'm an only child and I'm not settling down, just moving in with my girlfriend. Ha ha ha. Your girlfriend? I like how that sounds. Me too. Though eventually I want to be able to call you something more. Emma's heart skipped. Like what? We'll see. One step at a time. First the move. Then, who knows? Emma went to bed that night, feeling happier than she'd been in, possibly her entire life. Yes, they'd lost 11 years. Yes, it had been painful getting to this point. But looking forward, seeing the future stretching before them, Emma couldn't regret anything. Everything had happened exactly as it should. And now, finally, they were where they should be. Together. Comment what you thought of this story. Have you experienced something similar? 1 year later. The apartment in Capitol Hill was small but perfect. A second floor in an Art Deco building with high ceilings, huge windows that let in sunlight, and a balcony overlooking a tree-lined street full of coffee shops and bookstores. Miranda had found it, had negotiated the price, and had convinced the owner to let them make some minor modifications. Now, a year later, the place felt completely theirs. The main room served as a shared workspace. Miranda's desk was by the window, covered with blueprints and models. Emma's drawing table was in the opposite corner, surrounded by colored pencils, watercolors, and half-finished illustration pages. Emma was working on illustrations for the third book in her series when she heard the key in the door. Miranda entered carrying grocery bags. I got everything for dinner, she announced. And guess who's going to cook? You? Me. I'm making my famous crab cakes. Well, my grandmother's recipe, but I'll make them. Emma got up from her table and went to help her unpack. For what occasion? Do I need an occasion to cook for my girlfriend? No, but you usually do when there's a special reason. Miranda looked at her with that smile that always meant she was planning something. Well, maybe there is a reason. What? It's our anniversary. Emma blinked. Our anniversary? Our anniversary is at Christmas, when we first kissed. That's one of our anniversaries, Miranda said, while starting to pull out ingredients. But today is exactly 1 year since we moved in together. Oh. Emma felt warmth spreading through her heart. You're right. And I thought we should celebrate it. This year has been incredible, don't you think? Emma thought about the last 12 months. They'd had their challenges, of course. Learning to live together after living alone for so long hadn't been easy. They'd argued about dishes left unwashed, about who forgot to buy toilet paper, about differences in sleep schedules. But they'd also had beautiful moments. Lazy mornings in bed, nights cooking together, weekends exploring the city, quick trips to Lake Tahoe to visit family. It's been the best year of my life, Emma said honestly. Better than the year you got your first big contract? Better than anything, Miranda smiled. Mine too. She moved closer and kissed Emma softly. And I hope we have many more. Many more years together. Many more of everything. Years, anniversaries, adventures. Miranda took Emma's hands. Actually, there's something I want to ask you. What? Miranda took a deep breath. My project here is finished. The building is almost complete. Emma's stomach sank. And I have options. I can go back to Portland and resume my firm there. Or I can stay in Seattle and look for new projects here. Miranda looked at her directly. What do you want me to do? What do I want? Emma was confused. What do you want? I want to be where you are. Miranda squeezed her hands. Emma, I love you. And this year living together has shown me that I don't want to go back to living apart. So if you want to stay in Seattle, I'll stay. If you want to move to Portland, we'll move. If you want to try another city entirely, we'll do it. I don't care where we are as long as we're together. Emma felt tears stinging her eyes. I don't know what to say. Say what you really want. Emma thought carefully. Seattle was where she'd built her career, but her work was portable. She could illustrate from anywhere. And Portland was closer to Lake Tahoe, to their family. What if, Emma began slowly, what if we looked for something in between? Not in Seattle, not in Portland, maybe in Lake Tahoe. Miranda looked at her surprised. Lake Tahoe? Think about it. It's close to both families. It's beautiful, quieter than the city. You could focus on smaller, sustainable projects. I could illustrate with a view of the lake. Emma smiled. We could have that house you dreamed of when we were kids, with space for a studio on the second floor. Miranda's eyes filled with tears. Are you serious? Completely. Emma kissed her. I want to build a life with you. A real life, not just a trial year. And I think Lake Tahoe is the perfect place to do it. And your career? It's portable. And honestly, I think a change of scenery would do me good. New inspiration. Emma laughed. Besides, I already have an incredible architect who can design me the perfect house. Miranda hugged her tightly. I love you so much. So much. I love you too. Emma kissed her deeply. Now let's make those crab cakes before you distract me too much. They cooked together, moving around the small kitchen with the ease of people who'd learned to dance around each other. Miranda cut vegetables. Emma prepared the sauce. They worked in perfect synchronization. You know what's the craziest thing? Emma said, while mixing the sauce. What? That I almost didn't go to Lake Tahoe that Christmas. I almost stayed in the city making up excuses." "I know." Miranda looked at her. "And I almost didn't go either. My mom had to beg me." "Really?" "Yeah, because every year I went and you weren't there, it broke my heart a little. I thought that year would be the same." Miranda laughed softly. "But my mom insisted. She said she had a feeling this year would be different. Mothers always know. Always." They ate on the balcony as the sun set over the city. The crab cakes were perfect, and Miranda had opened a bottle of white wine they'd been saving for a special occasion. "To us," Miranda toasted. "To us," Emma repeated, clinking her glass. "To 11 years of waiting that were completely worth it. To 1 year of living together. To many more to come. To Lake Tahoe. To our future." They drank, and then Miranda pulled something from her pocket. A small black box. Emma felt her heart stop. "Miranda? Wait, let me say something first." Miranda took a breath. "I know it's soon. It's only been a year. But Emma, I've loved you for more than half my life. And these last 12 months have taught me that I want to spend the rest of my life with you. I want to wake up next to you every morning. I want to grow old with you. I want everything." She opened the box. Inside were 2 simple silver rings, engraved with a star design. "I'm not asking you to marry me tomorrow. I know there are steps to take first. Moving to Lake Tahoe, building our house, settling in. But I want you to know my intentions. I want you to know this is forever for me." Miranda took one of the rings. "So, Emma Thompson, would you accept this promise? This promise that someday, when we're ready, I'm going to ask you to marry me? And meanwhile, would you wear this as a symbol that I choose you? Today, tomorrow, and every day that comes." Emma was openly crying now. "Yes, 1,000 times yes." Miranda slipped the ring onto her finger. Emma took the second ring and slipped it onto Miranda's. "I choose you too," Emma said. "Today, tomorrow, and always." They kissed as the sun finished setting, painting the sky in impossible colors. And in that moment, with the rings shining on their fingers and their hearts finally at peace, they both knew they'd found their happily ever after. It hadn't been easy getting here. They'd lost 11 years. They'd made mistakes. They'd hurt each other. But in the end, they'd found their way back to each other. And that was all that mattered. 2 years later, final epilogue. The house in Lake Tahoe was finished. Miranda had designed it with all her love and skill. Glass walls overlooking the lake, a studio on the second floor with perfect natural light, a garden where they'd planted a lemon tree in honor of Grandma Rose. It was everything they'd dreamed of and more. Emma was in her studio, working on illustrations for her 5th book, when she heard Miranda's car arrive. She got up and went downstairs, just as Miranda was coming through the door. "Hi, wife," Miranda said with a smile. "Hi, wife," Emma responded, still getting excited every time they said that word. They'd gotten married 6 months ago, in an intimate ceremony in her parents' backyard. Just family and close friends. Simple. Perfect. "How was your day?" Emma asked. "Productive. I signed the contract for the new sustainable housing project by the lake. It's going to be beautiful." Miranda set down her briefcase and hugged Emma. "And yours?" "Finished the illustrations for Chapter 8. My editor loved them. Of course she loved them. You're incredible." They kissed, and Emma still felt butterflies. After all this time, Miranda still made her feel like a lovesick teenager. "Your mom called," Emma said. "She wants to know if we're going to dinner tomorrow." Can we? Sure, I have nothing planned. Perfect. Miranda looked at her with that expression that meant she was thinking about something. You know what day tomorrow is? Emma thought. December 30th. Why? It's exactly 3 years since we first kissed, in the back bedroom, under the star stickers. Oh, Emma smiled. You're right. You know what we should do? What? Go sleep there tomorrow night. Your mom wouldn't mind. We could spend the night in our old room, for old time's sake. Emma laughed. You want your wife and you to sleep in separate beds? No. Miranda smiled mischievously. We're definitely sharing a bed, but I want to be in that place again, where it all started. I like that idea. The next day, after dinner at the Thompsons, Emma and Miranda went up to the back bedroom. Patricia had kept it exactly the same 2 twin beds, the same star stickers on the ceiling. It's like a time machine, Miranda murmured, sitting on what had been her bed. Except now you're my wife. True, that's definitely different. They lay down together in Miranda's twin bed, squeezed in but happy. Emma turned off the light and the stickers began to glow softly. Remember when we put these up? Miranda asked. How could I forget? You said someday we'd live together. And we made it. We made it. Emma kissed her forehead. Against all odds, despite all our mistakes, we made it. You know what's the craziest thing? What? That if I could go back, I wouldn't change anything. Miranda looked at her in the darkness. I know it sounds strange. We lost 11 years. But those 11 years made us who we are. They taught us to value this, to not take for granted what we have. I wouldn't change anything either, Emma agreed, because in the end, we ended up exactly where we should be. Together. Together. They fell asleep like that, under the same stars they'd put up when they were kids, in the same room where everything had changed, holding the person they'd loved for more than half their lives. And when they woke in the morning of December 31st, with the sun streaming through the window and the smell of coffee rising from the kitchen, they both knew that no matter what challenges came, they'd face them together. Because after 11 years apart, after building a life together in Lake Tahoe, after becoming wives, they'd learned the most important lesson. True love always finds its way back, and theirs had found its way home. Subscribe for more stories like this. Every subscriber counts for YouTube to recommend content like this. Did you like it? Share with someone who needs to believe in second chances.